It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Breakfast, breaking down for you the property market. Yes, it is your weekly window into the Australian real estate and multiple real estate stories. We are covering those stories every week to keep both you and I on our toes. And for 2026, a lot of stories have broken. Now, if you're a year older today, I hope that you are celebrating with somebody special in your life. It is July the 7th. You share your birthday with Ringo Starr. He is turning 86 today. If you like a bit of comedy out of the US, you might know who Jim Gaffigan is. He is turning 60. And a couple of major events that happened on this day back in 1978. One good event and one bad event. It was on this day in 1985. Wimbledon Championships men's single title was won none other than Boris Becker at the age of just 17. He wouldn't have realised, of course, at the age of 17 that in later life he would end up in jail. And it was also on this day, this was an infamous date, 2005, the London bombings occurred during the morning peak hours. Hard to believe that that is 21 years ago. Now, according to a recent PropTrack report, more than half of Australians are either accessing or planning to access their superannuation earlier to help buy their first home. It is a subject that we have covered before. Research from investing app Spaceship found that 54% support the idea, while 76% want the rules relaxed even further. Critics warn that it may help buyers today, but could leave many hundreds of thousands of dollars worse off in retirement. And it does raise an important question. Should super fund housing, or should it remain solely for retirement? I think the more important question too is, should we be flexible and more nuanced in this different housing market condition that we're currently living in? What do you think? If you've got an opinion on that, you can let us know. Our email address is myrealestatepodcast@gmail.com. As we take you to Sydney this morning and catch up with Robert Francis. He is the Managing Director from Spaceship. And a very good morning to you, Robert. Welcome on to the Real Estate Breakfast. And tell us a little bit about Spaceship firstly, how long you guys have been operating and what exactly it is that you do.
Good morning, and thank you first for inviting me. Spaceship is a superannuation and managed fund investment company. We were formed in 2016. We are there for people in the long term as well as the short term. So for entry-level investors who just want to get familiar with what investing is all about, we're probably one of the places to go to.
Now, almost everyone agrees that buying your first home is getting harder in Australia, but should super become part of the solution? That's what we're talking about this morning. Is getting into the market earlier worth sacrificing your future nest egg? What do you think about that?
See, I think people need to understand what exactly is this first home super saver scheme is. It doesn't mean that you can access your contributions made by your employer. It simply means that any voluntary contributions that you've made into your super, up to a maximum of $15,000 per year, and for a maximum in total of $50,000 is what you can access in order to purchase your home. So that's a clear distinction that people need to realise, and not just think that all of a sudden they can access any part of their super.
Yeah, because many buyers, as you say, they don't realise the First Home Super Saver Scheme only lets you withdraw your own voluntary contributions, not your employer's compulsory super. It's designed to help you save smarter, not raid your retirement. Well, that is the thinking around that. Do you think that there is enough first home buyers who are actually aware of how the scheme really works?
No, I don't think there are. I mean, I think what the survey illustrates is people's perception of what they would like super to be able to do, or being able to access super for what they want to do. However, I don't think people realise what you and I just spoke about just there. However, it is a tool that people should be looking at.
Yeah, and house prices, of course, they've surged about 43% in 5 years, while mortgage repayments now consume more than half of the median family income. It's no surprise that many younger Australians are searching for different ways to fund a deposit. There has been so much frustration since post-COVID. So is housing affordability now forcing people into these difficult long-term financial choices? I think the answer's pretty clear on that, isn't it?
This is a good tool for people who want to save in a tax-effective environment in order to have a larger deposit. So it's certainly a tool that people should be looking at, young people in particular, looking for their first home, because you have this environment where effectively you're only paying 15% tax. You can save a lot sooner or quicker in that regard, and then you can utilise that for your first deposit.
Yeah, some say that early access to super should never be viewed as easy money. I think people sort of trying to access it for buying a property, they're not viewing it necessarily like that. But how important is it to weigh today's housing dreams against tomorrow's retirement lifestyle? Because that is the juxtaposition, isn't it?
Yeah, that's correct. I think everybody's different. Everybody's financial situation is different. So the first thing I would recommend to anybody is to seek a financial advisor to weigh up what they should be doing. I do want to caution people who look at wanting to access super early for whatever means. We're living longer due to medical technology, etc. Retirement age, everyone still wants to retire at 60 or 65 or 70, maybe at the latest. And you've got to remember that you've got maybe 20 or 30 years left of your life. Your funding for your retirement has to cover that period. And so I think people need to weigh up, as you just pointed out just then, your current focus or your current needs as opposed to your long-term needs. And that's really the balancing act. And that's something that maybe a financial advisor who can look at your financial situation can guide you.
We are talking to Robert from Spaceship, and he is in Sydney this morning. We'll have more around the super after this.
Don't forget to subscribe. We have so many episodes, all designed to help you better understand the constantly evolving and dynamically changing real estate property market. Unlock the secrets of real estate and stay informed about the latest real estate buzz with hot market trends, emerging suburbs, and hidden gems.
And the real estate time capsule tells us this morning that the Gold Coast experienced one of Australia's biggest property booms during the 1970s. Yes, surfers' paradise transformed from a beachside holiday destination into a skyline filled with high-rise apartments fueled by tourism and interstate migration. If you look at the house prices, just for a little bit of fun this morning in Surfers' Paradise in the 1970s, it was common to find houses between $30,000 and $60,000, while apartments often sold between $20,000 and $40,000. Today's median house prices are around $2.6 million, and apartments are sitting near the $900,000 mark, just illustrating and highlighting the long-term growth of the Gold Coast property market. And there's been a lot of that growth, especially if you have bought just prior to COVID, that you would have experienced. So well done if you are in that cohort of buyers. It is a Real Estate Tuesday. Robert is here talking about the super. And Robert, for some buyers, the First Home Super Saver Scheme has genuinely shortened the road to home ownership. Can using the scheme strategically, do you think, be a smart compromise for disciplined savers? What do you think?
Definitely. In regards to that, that's a very good question. Certainly getting into a habit of saving is something that is very important. I think when somebody sees the advantage of putting money into or voluntary contributions into super and then being able to access it later on, it forms that habit for future savings. So I think it's definitely something that people should be encouraged to do.
And the real debate isn't just about getting into property, it's about balancing, as we're talking about this morning, two major life goals: owning a home and retiring comfortably. Where should governments draw the line, do you think, between housing and retirement policy?
Again, another good question. At the end of the day, government needs to be more concerned about the long-term retirement of the citizens of this country rather than home loans or rather home ownership. The reason being, obviously, that, as I said earlier, the population is getting older. We're already seeing that population growth is, well, not necessarily stagnating, but slowing, which means if we have a situation down the track of people who have saved for their home, or rather have used superannuation for their home, and then they have very little in retirement, I think the intention is for those individuals to think that they can be on a pension. That may not be the case in 30, 40, 50 years' time. And the whole point of superannuation was to alleviate the need for a pension. So I think the first priority has to be what is the long-term future of our older generation and what it's going to look like when they retire. And home ownership, although it is a struggle at the moment, it is something that, there is cycles and everything. Admittedly, it's becoming very hard nowadays because now it appears that you need 51% of your income to be spent on home repayments. However, this is unfortunately the situation that we're in. I think retirement is the concern of the government.
Yeah, here's a bombshell for you. If you can handle this one, you might not know the answer to it, but you were talking earlier about when you retire, having 20 to 30 years of life left, which obviously super is so important to make sure that you're planning all of this out correctly. But with AI, I think one of the really interesting things here, we're talking about drugs for longevity, but in 10 years from now, who knows what those drugs are going to be capable of doing for the human body as a result of AI. We're talking today 20 to 30 years of life after retirement. It may well be longer in 10 years' time.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think that's what you've got to plan for, because we're seeing it, each generation is living longer and longer. And what you say is very true. Unless people are planning to work into their 70s or 80s, and probably most people don't want to do that. There might be some that do. Essentially, I think people want to enjoy the remaining years of their life and then may be surprised at how long the remaining years of their life are.
Yeah, without a doubt. We've probably got people thinking, gee, am I going to comfortably live to 105, 110 years of age? All right, we'll wrap it up there. Robert, great to talk to you on the Real Estate Breakfast this morning, and enjoy your Tuesday.
Thank you very much, and thank you again for inviting me.
We are more than just a real estate podcast. We cover a multitude of subjects, including property data, current buyer-seller sentiment, and the mood of the market. Follow each week all of the main talking points and know your property. Ready to take your real estate knowledge to the next level? So are we.
Selling something off the plan was a really challenging task.
Some of these markets do have a higher concentration of investor activity.
Let's fuel your passion for property together.
500,000 Aussie will certainly get you a nice 2 or 3 bedroom villa.
Greg is incredible. It's phenomenal.
Brighton, there was a record set on the Esplanade for over $6.5 million.
Should not be charging any buyers for the service that they're offering.
Remember, we are not a real estate company.
With selective growth, there's parts of Melbourne that have grown really well.
Explore new property destinations where you could live.
I feel that people are choosing lifestyle and where they want to live.
Listen to in-depth discussions with industry leaders on investing options, understanding different suburbs with insider perspectives and exclusive tips. We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.